Hello, people. Thanks for tuning in to Rise High Radio. Let's talk about it with MYLINDA. Um, I'm hoping everybody can hear me because this is my first time actually setting up before. So, can you guys hear me? Is everything good? Do one of these, Chris. Okay, perfect. Okay. So as we can see that the topic is effective communication. And I was going to do something in a sense of healthy relationships, but I think I'm going to do that next time. I actually think I'm going to do that next time. But as far as effective communication, what is an effective way to communicate with somebody in regards to your relationship, in regards to when you're when you're a boss, or even ways of effectively communicating as a parent. So I really wanted to discuss that, and talk about the positives and things that we can do, knowing the steps of effective communication, right? um, it's a lot of different ways people communicate, right? They communicate with their body, they communicate with their eyes, they communicate with their voice, of course. So it's many different ways that you are able to communicate. But one thing that I want to discuss, hey, Miss Latrice is going to actually join us for the discussion when we do get in our discussion. So she is here as well. So I appreciate you. Actually, Chris is going to send you a link and get you tuned in um, to the actual forefront. So while I discuss some things and talk about some things, Chris is going to go ahead and send you that link. How is everybody feeling out there? I'm feeling okay. It's an okay day. Um, Not the best, but it's an okay day. And sometimes it's hard to communicate how you're feeling. It's hard to communicate um, um, the what you're thinking. So sometimes people just are quiet about things and don't really say anything because they don't know how to channel that communication. So when I talk about channeling communication, there are seven different ways of communicate, or seven different of a process of communication. So whether we know it or not, it's always steps to everything, right? So whether we know it or not, it's steps to communication, right? So the first step is the actual sender, which is the person that's communicating with somebody. Okay, that sender is in that time getting all the information that they can, generating all the information that they can to send to that person. In while processing that information that they want to send to that person, they're encoding which way they want to send it. So do they want to send it through their body language? Do they want to send it through text message? Do they want to send it through the voice? Do they want to send it through eyes? So in that process of sending this form of communication, you are also encoding which way you want to send it, right? um, while encoding the way you want to send it, then you're developing a message. You're getting the juicy stuff out of there. You want to see what I want to talk to them about. Am I going to talk to them about their attitude? Am I going to talk to them about how they made me upset? Am I going to talk to them about not listening? And what type of message that you want to deliver during that encoding, during that text message, during that verbal, during that grandma could give you that wink at church, that glare, and you already knew what time it was. Your mama can give you that glare, and you already knew, like, she ain't playing. So in that process, she was like encoding, like, I'm about to tear you up. And you already received that message from all the way across the living room, right? Or all the way across the church. You had already received that message from eyes. So that was the way that grandma used to communicate with us while we were in church, right? That glare, that stare, like, I'm going to tear you up if you don't sit down. So the fourth phase, so I gave you the three, the sender, the encoder, and the message. The fourth one is actually, like I said, how are you going to do this? Are you going to do it face to face or what have you? Decoding is the actual ideas you're going to give. Like if you want to give a scenario of how they made you feel, or if you want to give them an example, that's what you're decoding. You're kind of breaking down that message for them, right? And the next one is actually channeling that message, giving it to the receiver, telling them how you feel. You've already went through the steps, the process of how you're going to deliver it, how is it going to look when you deliver it, and how you're going to send that message, whether it's through code or whatever, or a text message or whatever. So now you're going to actually send that message, and that message is going to say, you are not listening to me, and I don't like the way that makes me feel, right? You send it through text message, or you say it by your voice. With your eyes communicating, with your body language, you might put your hand on your hip, saying like, I'm frustrated with your behavior. You might do one of these. That's I'm over it, you know. So body language is a way to communicate as well. And then at the end of that process, of course, you get that feedback, right? The feedback of what the person wants to say back to you. Now, sometimes you may get a silent feedback, which is not what you wanted, right? You want somebody to communicate with you too. But sometimes you may get a silent communication back, which is not necessarily bad. It means that that person hasn't started that process of what message they want to send to you. So it's not bad if a person, after you give them what you want to say, that they don't say anything. It's just maybe they can't establish the words to say or get the right encoding of what they really want to say back to you, which is fair, right? Because you had time to think about what you wanted to say to the person. So give them time as well. So like I said, you may hear that awkward silence, that awkward moment of silence, or you may get a fast response like, well, I did such and such because of such and such, so it is all how you deliver the message on how you're going to respond, or how a person is going to respond, right? If you are listening to this, go ahead and hit that share button. Click that share button. Effective communication is so important in this day because it allows us to be able to communicate in different ways. Right now we have another form of communication, which is text message, right? So everybody's texting on how they feel and what's going on, right? And then of course we have the old school communication, which is the body language and actually the verbal. Okay, so it's different ways to communicate. So effective communication is established on who you are delivering that message to. That's how you know it's effective. It also is focused on your tone too. Tone plays a big part in the way you communicate with people. You could say two of the same words in a different tone and mean two totally different meanings. You could say the same word in two different tones and mean different meanings. Okay? So just be careful, be mindful. My mom always told me it's not what you say, it's the way you say it. I know everybody heard that. It's not what you say, it's the way you say it. So that's very important too. Once again, if you are listening to this, go ahead and hit that share button. Effective communication. And if you do want to chime in, please comment at the bottom, and I'll have my co-host actually send you a link, and you can go ahead and tune in and give your feedback on ways that you found to be effective way of communication. Um, I think I'm actually, like I said, I'm going to do the second half of healthy relationships. And like I said, healthy relationships is not always just about, a boy and or a man and a woman. It's also, relationships can differ from, being a teacher to a student, being a social worker to a client, being a doctor to a patient. So there's different ways of a healthy relationship, and you want to make sure that you know those ways. So when it does go sour, you can kind of bring it back in, you know, bring it back to the forefront of being healthy, because in this day and age, right, we don't need no more negativity. We don't. We don't. Okay. Shout out to Juneteenth. If you did celebrate that, I know you guys had an amazing time, and I appreciate them actually declaring it to be a holiday. Just should it be? So shout out to Juneteenth. I know it was on yesterday, but I, if you had fun, if you got together, if you did what you did, um, that was awesome. I saw a lot of things on Facebook where people were celebrating and giving out, history of what the Juneteenth was. So shout out to those people that was giving out that information for those that didn't know or wanted to know what actually the day actually meant. So once again, I appreciate you guys coming in. Y'all know I love y'all. Y'all know I love y'all. Um, So once again, like I said, when we're discussing communication, you always want to know the effective way, right? So when you're dealing with your business, new businesses are going to be opening up, and you still want to keep that good customer service, right? You still want to be able to effectively communicate with your clientele or with the individuals that you provide service to, or with your coworkers, right? So in the business side of it, you always want to make sure that you're listening to somebody. And this goes for, I'm going to declare this to be for a business and for a relationship, okay? So the first thing, of course, you want to do is listen to that person, right? Listen. You want to listen and see what information are they presenting to you. um, Usually in the listening process, you declare what you're going to be saying back to them, but that's not an effective way. When you're listening to somebody, you're actually listening. That means your thought process is not going for what you're going to say back to them, because that's not listening, right? So you want to make sure that you actually listen. When you listen, you pay whole attention. You actually pay attention to the words, the tone, and the body language that they're presenting to you, right? That's effective listening, along with effective communication, right? The second one is actually processing. After you have listened to what they say, and you got the key factors of what they're saying to you, you want to make sure that you can process that information. Um, and process it right. So in that processing of the information, ask questions if you're not sure. Say, well, did you mean to say this, or did you mean to say that? Ask questions in that processing phase, because that's when you develop more information about what the person is trying to say, right? Because if you just go in, um, then you're dealing off assumptions, and assumptions is, they got me in some trouble. So assumptions is not good. So always make sure that you understand in the second stage of processing, if you want clarity of what a person is saying, go ahead and ask them at that particular time after you listen. Okay? I hate this light. Note to self, get a better lighting. Okay. Um, the third thing is actually organizing what you're going to say back to them, repeating it back to them. Like I said, repeating it back of how they're feeling. Like, so you said that I was getting on your nerves when I was talking too much. Don't say, you said I was getting on your nerve talking too much. Well, you was getting on mine. No, that's not the proper. Oh gosh, that's not the proper way of doing it. You want to actually repeat what they're trying to say to you so you can get a clarification. Don't add your 2 cents in while you're trying to organize your thoughts and trying to process what they're saying. That is not a good way to do it. And we all do it. We all say, well, you said you was feeling like that. Well, I was feeling like this. We all do that. But we bounce right back in. That's what we do. It just comes naturally. But in a effective type of communication, you want to actually ask them how they're feeling, not add your 2 cents in during that process. You want to ask them how they're feeling and then ask them to continue. In the heat of the moment, does this work? Hell no. No. No, it don't work in the heat of the moment. Cause in the heat of the moment, you may not be able to say nothing because everybody want their 2 cents in. That person want their 2 cents in. So ain't no compromising. Ain't no effective communication in the heat of the moment. So that's why it's always, so I'm going, when we talk about the heat of the moment, I'm going to bring that back up too. But like I said, responding after you process everything, this is your time to go ahead and respond to what they're saying, respond to what they said to you. And then you can let them know exactly how you feel about that. Okay. That's the time that you actually want to speak that. You want to speak clearly and let them know exactly what's going on. And you want to speak with a tone and a body language that's not offensive. Like I said, you could say the same words and mean two different things from your body language and your tone. That's just that's how it is, communication. So when you communicate, just make sure that you're doing it and being conscious of your body and your tone. So when people are talking to you and they doing all this, and I told them, hey, man, you're like, of course that's hostile. And you're like, oh, okay. All about, all about Kroger's, huh? Or buying ice cream. You all like this. So you have to really kind of read things. And thank God we were blessed with, some of us was blessed with the eyes and the mouth and the hearing. Others, have to work on their other sense. But if you were blessed to see and hear, use those things in an effective way and don't take it for granted. So when you are communicating with somebody, make sure you're actually reading into it and not just blowing them off. Like I said, in a heated situation, no. So the question is that I wanted to talk about and I'm going to bring some people, I'm going to actually bring Chris in after this so he can say what he wants. But the next thing, when I talk about heated situations, can you communicate when you're upset? And the answer is yes. But the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that you're upset first. Okay? So the first thing you do is you have to stop. You can't keep on communicating. Okay, so the answer is no. You can't keep on communicating while you're upset. You have to stop and realize that my language, my tone, my body language is not going to be effective at all if I'm angry. It's just not. And you got to think about why you're upset and why no longer you need to be upset. And the most important thing for you to do is communicate with that person. And if it's not time to communicate with that person right now, take a break from it, okay? And then come back to it. But if it's time to communicate with that person, um, be mindful about what you're about to say. Be mindful about your tone. Be mindful about your body language, and actually listen to that person's point of view. So the question is, can you communicate when you're angry? And it's a slim chance to none, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to stop and acknowledge that you're angry in order for you to be effective. Because like I said, in the heat of the moment, when you angry, you like, I don't give up what you say. I don't want to hear nothing. I am angry. So I'm going to bring Chris on, and anybody else that wants to come on to discuss this topic. I just want to know, what does effective communication look like to you? I've gave you the steps and everything. So I'm going to actually bring Chris in right now. He's coming. Hi, Chris.
Hello, MYLINDA. How are you doing?
I am good. So you just were you was actually listening to the podcast and understanding the different process of actually what communication is and the effective way to communicate. So I guess I want to get your point of view as to what is effective communication to you. What does that look like to you?
Well, to me, I can probably first I'm going to say it's being able to actually get across to a person your point of view,
Hmm.
and I can explain it like this. For me, if you look at a car uses gas to
Okay.
run.
Hmm.
Okay, and no matter what you try to put into that car, you can put water in that car where the gas goes. You can put lemon juice in there. You can put Kool-Aid in there. But the matter of fact is that car is not going to run without what it needs.
Right.
So I'm not a psychology major, but I have learned me over time, and I've learned to learn people over time and understand that when you give a person what they need, not what they want, but like what it is that helps fuel them.
Hmm.
When you learn how to give a person what it is they need from you, then most likely they'll be able to more inclined to adhere to what you're saying, or you can get a point across, even if they disagree with it.
Absolutely.
I've seen people draw people in, like for instance, on the church scene, like with church, I've seen more churches get more people in with food and
Okay.
clothes versus just trying to give them a word per se,
Right.
instead of trying to take and shove something down their face.
Right.
That's one way. Another way is, I'm originally from Baton Rouge. You're not
Baton
from Baton
Rouge.
Rouge.
Baton
Yeah, Baton
Rouge.
Rouge, Louisiana. So you're not from there. And you wanted to do business down there, but you didn't know a lot of people.
Hmm.
So you can go down there and you can probably do pretty good business,
Hmm.
but you probably wouldn't be able to attract the people you want to attract because you didn't know them.
Right.
Or some people might be interested in what you're offering, but
Hmm.
they don't know you.
Right.
So another good tool is an intermediary, a
Okay.
person who is like an in between, someone who
Yep.
knows both sides.
Yep.
So you can also use that as well.
Yep.
And and the last point I want to make is, because this is something that I use, I always keep an even tone when I'm talking to people, no matter if I'm upset or not. So when I ever do yell, they're like, man, I've never seen you like this.
Hmm.
And the reason for keeping an even tone is, the Bible says this. It says soft words turn away wrath. So you can get hype and uppity and all excited, but that ain't doing nothing but fueling the fire.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
I've been in situations where I've had guns to my head, where
Mm.
people was literally ready to shoot me over
Mm,
stuff that really didn't make no sense, but they
right,
was deciding to take it there because they were hot headed.
right, right.
And and just because I was able to be level headed, calm, and still in the face of danger to keep a calm demeanor, I was able to
Wow,
talk people, out of those situations and therefore
wow.
save my life. Now I eventually wind up not dealing with those people,
Now that's
because
effective communication. If you can save your life,
yeah. So let me tell you, when I had my shop in Baton Rouge, I was really looking out for a lot of people, but then they had people I didn't want to deal with,
hmm,
because they didn't want to follow protocols. If I have 20 vehicles to work on, they want me to drop what I'm doing and pay attention to just them. But
right,
that's not how it works. If you go to any other business, you're going to get in line like everybody else.
right,
And so
absolutely.
I had a few incidences like that. But each one of the incidences, they got mad because I told them, look, I'm not working on your car. Man, I don't want nobody else working on my car. And I'm talking about, it was a big ordeal. They had one guy went and got some of his family members and came back. Oh, you going to work
Wow,
on this car,
wow.
So I had to get my wheels to turn. And I really had to think to get out of that situation without one making a scene, because I'm from the streets, but I'm trying to
Hmm.
operate a legitimate business. So you
Yep.
can't handle it streetwise. What the book says, what they say I'm supposed to do is call the police and all that, but I'm not doing that either.
Right, right,
So I
right.
had to figure it out. I had to figure out a way to do it, and like your mind process things really quickly. I had to
They
think of
do.
quick
It
ways.
does.
So all I kept doing was talking to him nice. I was like, man, this is what it's come to. I say, we really have to do this. I say,
Yep.
come on, brother. You ain't got your cousin. You ain't got this. I say, nah, we know each other.
Hmm.
So I could have said, man, you know what I'm capable of. I said that so he can get to thinking, you know what I'm
Exactly.
capable of. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then wind up, I say, listen, I'm going to take care of you. I say, but I can't do it right away.
Yep.
So we found a middle ground. But after that, I stopped dealing with, people like that. Because no matter how much you try to help people, on the flip side of that, a lot of times we know what we're getting into it, but we have a soft heart, a soft spot for people,
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yep. And you're absolute, like, when you discuss that matter or that story of, we gonna take it there, or we gonna do it like this, because of, first of all, your tone. And of course, I'm assuming that you was communicating with the guy, looking in his eye. He's seeing you, you
absolutely,
seeing
because
him.
not so much as communication, but I had to watch his move. His guy got a gun. He's got
Yeah,
a gun. He's already cocked it. When he pulled up, he had it on his mind. I guess he had in his mind, if he tell me no, I'm about to let him have it.
yeah, absolutely.
So but he not thinking. Now I have other businesses all around me. I'm the only black business owner at that time in that area. Now
Hmm.
I got cameras up. They got cameras up. This stuff is all hooked in,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
not thinking. So I'm kind of thinking for the both of us at this time.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And during that process, um, because of the tone of your voice, and because of you looking at him eye to eye to let him know the seriousness of what's going on, and the empathy that you have with him, like, I know you. Come on now, come on. Don't take it there. He was. The information that you was presenting was better received than, of course, if you was like, well, you already know what it is, so don't play it. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Kind of
Yes,
getting back
exactly.
into his communication. Um, he would have felt offended, of course, and he would have had to prove himself, and that
Well,
would have been that.
it wasn't even a long time. It was probably maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes, but it seemed like an eternity.
Of course.
And your mind go through all these scenarios, all these different options, all at one time. you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm telling you, the first thing I asked him, I was like, listen, I said, come on, let's just go inside, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm about to get you from under this camera, man, and I'm about to tussle with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he didn't want to come inside.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a ways, and I'm like, listen, I have to be here for my children. This is what my mind process is. I have to be here for my children. I have things to look forward to, and there are other things that I want to accomplish. Like, it can't end right here.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so you were actually, which is a difficult way to communicate to somebody effectively. You were actually communicating with somebody that was already angry, and had a block up already. Wasn't trying to hear anything, but because of the tone, the body language, and like I said, the eye contact, it eased him to bring him down a notch or two, and you were able to get that information into him, and he was like, oh, okay, well, it's all right.
Yeah.
um
It looked like when I kept saying, listen, man, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of you. I
yep,
must have said that a lot of times, and
yeah,
that seemed to be working. So
yeah. When you reassure somebody that when you're communicating with somebody in an angry moment and you reassure them that you understand what they're going through, they're more at ease, because the reason they pissed off right now is because you're not hearing me. You're not listening to what I'm saying. This is why I'm angry right now. So in that process of a communication, what you did was reassure that individual that I feel what you're going through, and I can't do it right now, but I got you. Or if I'm communicating with my boyfriend or my child, I would say, I understand what you're going through. That's when that shield goes down. I understand what you're going through, but we have to handle it a different way.
right.
So that's exactly what that was. And that was, if you talk yourself out of pure violence, that's a very effective way of communication.
Yeah, I talked my way out of a lot of fights. Oh man. Oh
Be-
boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and also when the aggressive person doesn't feel like you really understanding what they're
Mm-hmm.
saying,
Yep.
that adds more fuel to it.
Absolutely.
It's hard to hear and understand somebody when you're also upset as well.
Absolutely.
So
I just talked about that. So one person, whether it be you or that person, y'all have to stop and think. And sometimes, unfortunately, no one stops and thinks. And that's when feuds happen. That's when arguments start. That's when the police get called. That's when everything happens at that point. Because nobody actually stop and think, why am I angry right now? What's going on? I need to change my perception about how I'm communicating with that person. When I think of nonverbal communication, I always thought of the best form of nonverbal communication is poker, because they don't say anything in poker. It's all about a steady face. It's all about eyes. It's all about body language, um, and manipulation. Trying to fool that person to believe that you have something when you don't. Um, so with that, it's a whole nother, poker is a whole nother nonverbal language within itself. If you really look at those poker people play, you be like, what is they? And then when it all is out in the forefront of what they had, you like, oh, this fool and lied about everything. So I would agree that poker is one of the most effective non-communication, um, I guess, situations. I guess I would say situations that they're.
they call it bluffing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
you don't really know what a person has in their hand, but based off their bets and their eyes, they
Mm-hmm.
make you think they might have something, and they could have it, but they might not. It just
Yeah,
depends. You know. Uh,
absolutely.
in order for us to effectively communicate with other human beings, non-verbally, they would have to get to know us. And I say that because, let's say, like when I'm dealing with my children, um, they know me well enough. We can be anywhere, any place, in any environment. I can give them a certain look,
Mm-hmm.
and they know what that look means.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
I was actually just talking about that. Um, Grandma gave you that look in church to let you know that I am gonna mess you up if you don't get right.
yep.
So I think that's when all of us as human beings were introduced from our parents. So you have introduced nonverbal communication to your kids by giving them that look, so they know um, whether you know it or not, you taught them another form of communication. But they know, they like, yeah, daddy ain't playing. He ain't playing.
Right.
He ain't playing. So that's really all I had. I mean, I had somebody else come in, and if you're listening to this and want to come in and talk about effective communication and how effective communication looks to you, or even want to give a story of when you had to use this mouthpiece to get you out of some stuff, you can go ahead and tune in. Chris, who's right here, he will send you the link. All you have to do is comment and let me know exactly that you want to come on. But like I said, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew people communicate, but I don't think they know how to do it effectively to get the results that they want or they desire, which is hard. That's why people shut down. That's why people don't want to talk to you anymore, because they're not doing it properly. It's not going through the proper channels, for both people to feel assured, like feel secure. Um, it doesn't happen. So that's why people shut people off and don't talk to people and stuff like that. So if you are listening to this, go ahead and hit that share button. Go ahead and share this useful information and this great life story that Mr. Chris has given us. I was amazed. Like, wow, he didn't talk. Effective communication from not getting hurt or almost killed. That
Yeah.
is That's amazing. That's amazing. So effective communication does work. You just have to know how to um, use it, and use it. Don't just use it when you're in a time of need. Use it every day. Practice makes perfect. Y'all heard that saying. Practice makes perfect. So when you are talking to somebody, go ahead and try to use, like he says, the same tone or a different tone. Or change your body language of not rolling your eyes all the time every time somebody say something, or putting your hand on your head every time you disagree with someone. Be mindful of how you non-verbally communicate with people, because people pay attention to that, especially people like me. I deal with a lot of people from the public, so I have to deal with nonverbal communication every day. Even with people that was using substance abuse, I had to see them without them actually saying something so I could know my next move, right? It was very important. It was very important for me to understand what body language was. Um, like I said, it's the second form of communication. Uh, if
Look,
Chris is talking and I'm doing like this the whole time, mm, he like, seriously, and I ain't said nothing. I'm just like, mm-hmm. So all this,
that mean you telling me hurry up and shut up.
exactly. See, without
So
me saying a word.
look, Latrice said tonality and body language plays a huge role. I wonder what happened to you, Latrice. We sent you a link to come on here live on screen with us. What happened? Are you still coming? We're waiting for you.
We're
But
waiting
that's
on
a
you.
but that's a good statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true statement. Tonality and body language plays a huge role.
It plays a huge role with any type of communication that you give, whether it be, like I said, to your significant other, to your pastor, to your children, to a person on the street, to, the people at the store. Everywhere you go, you're always communicating. So your body language and your tone of voice is always very important when you're communicating with society. And like I was saying, body language is my second thing. I probably can read body language more than anything, just because I have to. I've had to do it in hostile environments where somebody was going to flip out because of their mental instability, or I had to do it in hostile environments where, um, you know, where I saw abuse or neglect and nobody or a child didn't say anything. So I had to really read into somebody's body language. So that's very, 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 I can't say very enough, important. So like I said, once again, this is all I have for you guys. I wanted you guys to understand the difference and understand I'm protesting.
She said she has 5 minutes, I guess.
So you can go ahead and um, give your give your go ahead and tune in or click the link that Chris sent you in your inbox. You don't if you don't if you're out there protesting, then don't show the camera or whatever. But you can go ahead and tell us, what do you believe effective communication is in your own um, perspective. So we'll see you at the bottom and we'll bring you up. Um,
Right. I'm not really concerned about protests anyway. If she wanted to show that, you know, that's not our views. That's, so
um,
she says
she's
how.
she says how.
Okay,
So
if
Chris,
you
can
look in your
you?
Facebook Messenger and click that link that was sent to you, it was sent to your Facebook Messenger. Yep. All you have to do is close out your screen, everything on your phone, close it out, go to your Facebook Messenger and just click it, and it'll bring you straight here.
So
You don't
y'all
need to be
know
you don't need
I
to be
usually
on
play my
Facebook
music.
to do it.
I don't know what Chris got set up here, but while we waiting on her, we're gonna go ahead and. This what happened when I think about you. I get in my feelings, you. Good song. Communication. So while we're waiting on Latrice, if like I said, if you are listening to this right now, go ahead and hit that share button. Effective communication, y'all. Yeah. So give me all of you in exchange for me. Just give me all of you in exchange for me. For me. Break it down.
Waiting on Latrice. I think
This is
she's
a good
having issues
song.
getting here.
This is a good song. These people is talented out here. Another thing that I want to discuss before Latrice gets on is,
There she go.
yep,
Hun-
there she is. I guess we need to connect their mic.
yeah.
So even though you don't want to see it, you still have to connect to it and like hold it down or something. Because if not, we're not going to be able to hear you. Oh, did she hear me when I said that?
I don't know. I'm messaging her now.
Thank you guys for your patience. Like I said, if you do want to chime in on effective communication, this is MYLINDA with Let's Talk About It. And we are talking about the ways of communication and how effective you can be. Since everybody's coming on in and um, maybe you're developing a new relationship or going back to a new job or the old job, or maybe you're trying to start up your own business or get back into your own business from being out from the virus. Effective communication is going to get you farther than what you think. Um, it just will. It just will. Effective communication gets you farther, and it actually builds a better rapport with that individual than what you had when you first started. So if you're able to express how you feel and express what's going on in the inside of you um, to that person, then it's develop is empathy, sympatheticness, um, a lack of anger, of course, is presented during that process. And like I said, the rapport is built during that process if you know how to communicate to somebody. A lot of people are walking around right now that don't know how to actually communicate with somebody. Uh, they think they just gonna yell and get their point across, and that's just gonna be that. She's trying to come on. Um,
Says I need to connect that camera mic before adding them.
Tell her that she has to still turn on the camera, and the she still has to turn on the camera, but if she doesn't want to be seen, then she could just put it downward. This lady right here is actually blowing up. Miss Summer. She is very talented. It's not connecting to her. So I'm cool with that. I'm just trying to match your words with your actions. I need more than satisfaction. Did you really feel that action? Really wanna give your all, but say too funny of a friends. How that works, better just do it the most. We take a picture, get posted. How that works, wait, so break that shit up. Won't you say my, say my? So won't you say my name, say my name? Okay. If you claim you want me.
Yeah, all she had to do was I see what her issue was.
Okay, so Miss Latrice is going to join us on next time, and I appreciate Mr. Chris coming on and discussing his examples and giving us his dialect of what he thinks effective communication is. I appreciate you guys for coming out. Yeah, she says she's having some trouble with her phone, so that's okay. It's all good. She's having some trouble with her phone. So next time I'm going to bring her into the next topic because I know she's a good friend of mine, and she knows a lot of things. So that would be awesome for her to join me on the next show. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. This is MYLINDA. Well, let's talk about it. And we talked about effective communication on today. If you are listening to this, go ahead and hit that share button and share this valid and accurate information. I will see you guys next Saturday at 10:30. Peace.